Okay, welcome to our judicial forum tonight. I'm Nancy Miller, one of the co-presidents of the League of Women Voters of Metro St. Louis. And with us tonight, we have a group of very, very wonderful serving individuals. Judges sit before you. First, I want to introduce to you Christine Bertelsen, who is a multi-talented, multifaceted woman. You recognize her in St. Louis as a person who has been part of the TV, mass communication, broadcasting business. Right now she serves, and I'll get her title so I say it right, she serves as the Director of Strategic Communications for the 21st Judicial Circuit Court. Yes, okay. And we're going to turn this over to her now for a description of the court system. Christine.
I'm Christy Bertelsen. I'm the Director of Strategic Communications for the court. And I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting tonight's forum. A lot of county voters complain that they don't know who the judges are. And that's largely because our judges don't run for election in the traditional sense and are not permitted to campaign or advertise. Instead, they're selected under the Missouri Nonpartisan Court Plan. The plan resulted from public dissatisfaction with the influence of money and politics in the election of judges and in their decision-making in the 1930s. In 1940, voters amended the Missouri Constitution to adopt a nonpartisan plan, which based judges' selection on merit rather than political affiliation. Originally, it applied to the Missouri Supreme Court and Appeals Courts, the Circuit Criminal and Probate Courts in the city of St. Louis, and the Circuit and Probate Courts in Jackson County. The plan was adopted in 1970 by voters in St. Louis County and later by voters in Clay, Platte, and Greene counties. The Missouri plan has become a model for the nation and has been adapted to improve judicial selection in courts in more than 30 other states. And so here's how it works. A lawyer who wants to be a judge in St. Louis County applies to a 5-member commission made up of 2 lawyers elected by the county bar, 2 non-lawyer citizens appointed by the governor, and the chief judge of the Eastern District Court of Appeals. The commission meets as often as necessary to fill judicial vacancies. Applicants submit questionnaires about their education and experience and are interviewed by the commission in open sessions that anyone can attend. The commission then votes to select 3 candidates whose names are submitted to the governor. The governor's office interviews the 3 finalists and has 60 days to appoint a new judge to fill the vacancy. The regular term of an associate circuit judge is 4 years and 6 years for a circuit judge. Nonpartisan judges are held accountable to the public at retention elections like this one in November. Their performance on the bench is evaluated by a Missouri Bar Committee made up of lawyers, non-lawyers, jurors, and retired judges. The committee issues a retain or do not retain recommendation. If a majority votes against retention, the judge is removed from office and the process starts again. I'm happy to report that all 11 of St. Louis County judges on the ballot have been recommended for retention. If you want to see their complete judicial evaluations from the Missouri Bar Committee, you can go to www.yourmissouriJudges.org/judges/circuit/St. Louis County. And now I'd like to introduce our judges this evening. Each of them will have 2 minutes to speak, and then Nancy Miller will begin the question and answer portion of the program. Let's start with Judge Lauren Baker. Your Honor.
Hi, good evening. Can you all see and hear me okay? Yes? Okay. First of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to introduce myself and for me to share my thoughts on many of the issues that the voters are interested in. And I want to thank you, those of you who are watching from home, for the time that you're spending to hear from all of us. I know it means a great deal to me, and I'm sure I say that for all of my colleagues. And also thank you for the hard work that you do in general. I've been on the bench for almost 2 years now. I was appointed as an associate circuit judge by Governor Parson, and I handle at this time I handle matters related to associate civil litigation, matters of equity, matters involving the Department of Revenue where parties wish to take a trial de novo. I have small claims dockets. I've had criminal cases assigned to me as well, and then also matters that the circuit judges have that are assigned to me by our presiding judge. Prior to this appointment, I was appointed by Governor Nixon to be an administrative law judge at the Division of Workers' Compensation, and I served in that position for a few years as well. I went to law school, graduating in 1993 from the University of Missouri-Columbia, and started my career as a public defender in the city of St. Louis. I have served in both the public and private sector since ostensibly in earnest 1994. And I believe it is that experience working in a multitude of areas on both sides that gave both governors the confidence to select me in the positions that I have. I want to tell you that it is a wonderful opportunity to serve the people of St. Louis County, and I am privileged to work with the great judges that we have here in our circuit. We have a wonderful, hardworking, terrific group of people serving here, and it is my great pleasure to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Judge Borbonis.
Good evening, everybody. I want to, as Judge Baker indicated, I do want to thank both the League of Women Voters as well as all of you who are attending here today. My name is John Borbonis. I am in Division 6 of the St. Louis County Circuit Court. I was appointed back in 2011 by then Governor Nixon to serve as an associate circuit judge. And then in 2018, Judge Parson elevated me to circuit judge. I have served a large part of my initial service was in domestic. So I was doing things like divorces, paternity actions, things of that nature. I have since moved in, and I did a stint over in associate criminal, which was strictly a criminal docket dealing mostly with bond issues as well as preliminary hearings. I am now, as a circuit judge, I'm handling both civil and criminal docket. On the civil side, I'm doing everything from some of these Monsanto cases that you may have heard about in the newspaper to smaller, less, media or less money at issue cases. On the criminal side, I do everything from a simple drug possession case all the way up to murder cases. So it runs the gamut on that. I'm married, have 3 children, a sophomore in college, a senior in high school, and a sophomore in high school. And it looks like I'm getting the equivalent of the orchestra starting up at the Oscar Awards. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. But again, I do want to thank you very much for being here today. It's a great honor for us to be able to talk to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Judge Harden-Tammons.
Good evening, everyone. I too want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity, and thank you all for attending this evening. My name is Renee Harden-Tammons, and I've been on this bench since 2017. Prior to being appointed by Governor Greitens in 2017, I was a municipal judge for about 17 years in St. Louis County. In 2019, I was appointed by Governor Parson to the circuit bench. I handle family law matters, which include divorces, name changes, custody matters, and any matter that involve the family. I also handle a criminal docket. In that, I handle probation revocation matters. I was inspired to become a lawyer by watching Perry Mason. I know that dates me. Some people don't even know what that is, who that is. But watching Perry Mason, I was inspired to become a lawyer. And at the age of 10 years of age, I told my family that I wanted to be a lawyer, and here it is. Back in the early 90s, I was in front of a judge, and he said to me, you might consider becoming a part of the bench. I had never thought about being a judge before, but after you said that to me, it sparked something in me, so I started applying. It took me 20 plus years to become a member of this bench. I am very proud to serve, and I wish I get the opportunity to serve many, many years. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Judge Hearn.
There, can you hear me? I too want to thank you for the opportunity to for us all to introduce ourselves and to explain who we are and what exactly we do. My name is Matt Hearn. I am currently the Associate Circuit Judge in Division 44. I assumed this position in September of 2019 after 26 years in private practice. As I mentioned, I'm currently in the civil division, which means I mostly handle civil cases. Although in St. Louis County, we have a rotation system, which I think is a little unique compared to other circuits where every 2 or 3 years we rotate into civil or family or criminal. But as I mentioned, I'm currently in the civil assignments, which means I mostly handle things like landlord-tenant disputes, breaches of contract, smaller tort claims, torts being anything in which negligence is an issue, and cases along those lines, along with a certain number of criminal probation cases. As Judge Baker mentioned, and as several of the other judges here may tell you, we also handle small claims cases. These are cases that tend to be more informal. They tend to be cases in which the parties represent themselves, and they involve disputes that are under $5,000 or so in damages. But in addition to those cases, I also handle the criminal expungement docket, which is any time that there has been an arrest, a criminal arrest or a criminal conviction, there are certain procedures that are fairly stringent that permit a party to go back to court and petition the judge to have that conviction expunged. Like I said, I've been here for a year and I look forward to serving you in the future.
Thank you, Judge Hearn. Judge Heggie.
Thank you to the league for setting this up and the viewers tonight. My name's Rob Heggie. I was appointed as a judge in 2015 by Governor Nixon. I was retained in 2016. I've spent 2 years in family court, doing mostly dissolutions and child custody matters. I also spent 2 years in criminal, and now I'm finishing up a 2-year rotation in the associate civil docket. So I've covered most of the areas that we have available in St. Louis County. I also have a probation revocation docket still, and a number of other matters. I enjoy greatly being a judge and hope to have your support in this year's retention. I was in private practice as an attorney for 24 years before I became a judge, and before that I spent 5 years as a CPA working for Ralston Purina and a private accounting firm at one point in time. So it's fascinating to be a judge. I greatly enjoy meeting all the litigants that come before us, working with the jurors that we get to see here occasionally, and the general public that comes to the courthouse. That's really what what kind of makes the rubber hit the road for us. We have a great group of colleagues here on the bench, and it's fascinating working with them. In addition, we get to work with our clerks, and we have about 650 people that work in the courthouse in various functions. You don't see a lot of them, but they're great people, and we get to work with them. And we know that while we're on the bench or doing something else, that they're out there making sure that the justice needs of St. Louis County are met. Again, thank you for your time tonight, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Heggie. Judge Kerr.
Good evening, everybody. I'll echo the thanks that my colleagues have offered, both to the league and the folks that have taken time to come and spend some of their evening getting to know us better. I've been a lawyer since 1985. My name, of course, is Chris Kerr. Right now, I'm sitting in Division 14. I'm a circuit judge. I started wearing a robe in 2004. I sat at juvenile court for 8 years. And then in 2012, I received my circuit judge appointment. Right now I'm doing a mix, 50-50 blend of civil cases where the dispute is over essentially money or those sorts of things, and criminal cases where the state of Missouri seeks some kind of criminal sanction against the defendant, just like Judge Borbonis. We're doing essentially, similar work. I've done domestic and family in the past. I've done some probate in the past. I think, I enjoy working with my colleagues. You guys are terrific people. I enjoy working for the citizens of St. Louis County. I'm very pleased to be a judge. I'm very proud to be working with the people that I work for. I thank you all for coming, and I look forward to your questions.
Sorry, my dog was barking, so I muted myself. Thank you, Judge Kerr. Judge Lay.
No worries, I would just hop in. You're fine. Nice to see you all. I'm Judge Virginia Lay. I sit in Division 41. I'm an associate circuit judge. I was appointed on April 1st, April Fool's Day, 2019, by Governor Parson. And I spent the first year on the bench in civil court, which you've heard Judge Hearn and Judge Baker describe, doing similar things, small claims, equity cases. The bulk of the work there is landlord-tenant, so obviously very important and even more important during these times, and collections work as well. At the beginning of the year, I moved to the family court to take the spot vacated by Judge John Borbonis when he was elevated to the circuit. So now I handle divorces, name changes, custody matters, things of that matter. And then I also do a domestic violence order of protection docket once a week. When we are on duty, which all of us do at least 2 weeks of the year, we handle search warrants, and we are here for any emergency matters that might arise. So when I'm on duty, I also handle criminal matters. My background is primarily as a prosecutor. I worked for the Circuit Attorney's Office beginning in 1993. I worked for the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office, as well as the Missouri Attorney General's Office as a special prosecutor. I also served as a prosecutor for the Department of Employment Security, doing ID fraud and employment security fraud, as well as 15 years in private practice, primarily in employment law, employment defense. So thank you so much. I would like to thank the League for all of their hard work. I see you registering all of those voters, so thank you for that. And this is my dream job, so I hope to remain here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge Lay. Judge Newsham.
Thank you very much. My name is John Newsham. I'm the Associate Judge of Division 40 of the St. Louis County Courthouse. I was appointed in March 2018, so like a lot of my fellow judges here, some of us are pretty new appointees. I grew up in the city of Florissant. I now live in the city of Crestwood. I've been a lifelong resident of St. Louis County. For 34 years, I practiced. The first 3 years as a public defender, the last 31 years in private practice. I had a chance to serve in the city of Crestwood on the Board of Planning and Zoning, and then I was their municipal judge for 17 years before I got this position. I'm married. I have 4 daughters, and that's why I'm asking your support in getting retained. I want to let you know that during this period of COVID time, the fellow judges and, as Judge Heggie said, the clerks have worked very hard. We're here all the time. Obviously, at certain points in times, the clerks have reduced numbers, but everyone is here working hard. And it's been a wonderful, even though it's been a very difficult time, it's been great to see the effort put forth by the judges and the clerks in trying to keep this system going. So again, I want to thank you all for being here and thank you for giving us this time.
Thank you, Judge Newsham. Judge Ott.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Elizabeth Ott. I am the judge in Division 7 here in the Circuit Court of St. Louis County. I was appointed by Governor Greitens in 2018. Before that, I had the privilege and honor of being appointed by Judge Blunt to the Associate Circuit Court, and you've heard that described by my colleagues. And while in the Associate Court, I rotated through each of the 3 assignments, the criminal assignment, the civil assignment, and the domestic relations assignment. And I had the privilege and honor of being elected by my peers as the administrative judge of the associates, and enjoyed that very much. This is my 3rd retention vote, and I have been very, very honored to have received the support of the residents of St. Louis County, the county in which I was raised. And I'm hopeful to be able to continue in what has really been the privilege of my life to serve as a judge in this county, to work with all of my colleagues, and as many have mentioned, the clerks who I knew as a lawyer and who I have come to know even more as a judge. Before my appointment in 2008 to the bench, I practiced law. And I did that for about 21 years, practicing in both the state and the federal court. I did litigation work and also appellate work in both the state appellate courts and in the federal system. And we really do have a wonderful system of jurisprudence. And as I said before, it is the honor of my lifetime to get to do this work. And I'm grateful to the citizens of St. Louis County and to my colleagues who make it so.
Thank you, Judge Ott. Judge Stewart.
Good evening, everybody. I'd also like to thank the league and everybody tuning in tonight for giving me and my colleagues the opportunity to speak with you. I am currently the judge in Division 2 here in St. Louis County. I was originally appointed in 2016 by Governor Nixon as an associate circuit judge and held many of the same assignments that some of my colleagues already talked about. I was in the associate criminal courts and then associate civil, doing the same things that they've described. In 2019, Governor Parson elevated me to the circuit bench. And since that time, I've handled the general civil criminal docket, also described by my colleagues. In February, or at the beginning of the year, more or less, I was assigned to our treatment courts, which you may or may not be familiar with what that is. It's been brought up in some of the political campaigns in recent years and through certain legislation, but we've had a treatment court, also called drug court or DWI court, here for a number of years. And it's a specific docket or program that's designed to help nonviolent criminal repeat offenders who are addicted to drugs or alcohol or have a mental health disorder undergo a pretty rigorous treatment program that's supervised by the judge and the treatment court team in order that for them to get out of the criminal justice system and engage in long-term recovery. It's a very important and has been a successful court or program here, and I'm really, glad to be a part of it. I'm getting the stop sign, so I have to stop talking for now. But thank you for being here tonight and for your interest in all of us.
Thank you, Judge Stewart. And finally, let's hear from Judge Zellweger. Z, always at the end.
Thank you, Christy. And I want to thank everybody, like everybody else did tonight, for arranging this wonderful event and also for attending tonight. I am an Associate Circuit Court Judge in Division 31. I went to law school at Washington University in St. Louis, And before that, I got a master's degree in religion from Yale University Divinity School. I'm currently sitting in family court, and I typically hear cases involving dissolutions and annulments, child custody and support cases, validity or enforceability of prenuptial agreements, and orders of protection. That's generally what I hear. I've also received several assignments outside of the family court during my years on the bench in both civil and also in probate. I'm currently handling about, I would say, half a dozen trust litigation cases because that was part of my background as a lawyer. I became interested in the law as a young child, I think as many of us have. And one summer, for summer camp, I took a mock trial class, and I was in elementary school. I think I must have been in 5th or 6th grade. And I got to defend Goldilocks in the trial of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And after that experience of representing a party like that and going through the trial process, I was hooked. I was completely fascinated with the law and our judicial system. And I knew from that point on I wanted to be an attorney. I didn't know I wanted to be a judge at that point, but that I wanted to be an attorney. I loved going to law school. I loved the study of law. And after law school, I worked at a large law firm. I traditionally represented large companies or individuals in trust disputes. And then I applied to be a judge and was appointed by Governor Greitens in 2018. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Zellweger. I wanted to just quickly mention, as a couple of our judges have, that during this pandemic, the courts have not been closed. They continue to function. Some of the judges are coming to the courthouse to conduct their dockets by Zoom or WebEx. Some of them were working from home. But even though the public does not have full access to the building because we're in phase 1, which restricts public access, the judges are still doing their jobs. The clerks are still doing the jobs. The courts have never closed. They've remained open. And now we're going to move into the next portion of our program, which is the questions from Nancy Miller. And I think we're going to have several questions, and we're going to have smaller 3 or 4 judges answer one question and then move to the next question. So Nancy, why don't you take it from here? Thank you.
Okay, right. I will tell all of you that the largest forum I've done before was 9 candidates for a city council at one time. So you've beaten my record. I have several questions. We'll just jump into this. We'll start with, let me see, who are we going to start with? I have a list of you all, and this is completely random. So, okay, Judge Stewart. Ready?
Ready.
These aren't the least bit tough. You'll be fine. First one. What is one of the challenges that you have seen in the COVID courts?
Well, the biggest challenge that I've seen that we've faced is access. Our court we haven't been able to get to a point where we could, allow people into the courthouse. And that doesn't mean anybody. There are certain matters that we do here in person that are allowed under our, the Supreme Court guidelines that they've provided us, and matters typically of an emergency type basis. And people can come and they can file things. Fortunately, we have worked quickly, and we have excellent support people in this organization, from IT to our clerk's office, to the judges, to the security personnel, and we've been able to do a lot of things virtually. I've been conducting regular dockets since March. The same things I would be doing in person. We're holding hearings and evidentiary hearings. So
thank you. That's great. Thank you.
That's been the biggest challenge, though.
Okay. And we'll have, let's see, Judge Kerr, could you add anything to that?
Sure, I would absolutely agree that the biggest challenge was learning how to do virtually what we've traditionally done in person for hundreds of years. but I just really want to commend my colleagues who have worked so hard. And so since March, I find this amazing, we've been able to have conferences that have accommodated 68,000 participants in our courthouse. We've been able to do 3,800 domestic violence cases, over 10,000 associate civil, and 251 virtual weddings. So I just really want to lift up my colleagues. You guys are awesome, and you're just really hardworking, and you're just making it happen for people out there who cannot come in the front door.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that little insider's view of this. Judge Barbonas, question for you, different question. What's an average day like for you?
An average day for me?
Yes.
Okay, well, I just want to, don't start the timer yet, but I do want to say, I don't know any lawyer or judge who can say anything in 2 minutes, so it's just a little unfair for us. So now you can start, Barbara, you can start the clock now. So the normal day for me is typically all morning I do Zoom hearings. And it's typically, it does not involve individual clients. I do run a couple criminal dockets, and if I can actually do a plea with a criminal defendant where the lawyer, and we do it literally all on Zoom. My court reporter is home. I'm here on the bench. The lawyer is in his office. The defendant is either in that lawyer's office or at home, and then you have the prosecutor also at home. So we are literally doing this all by Zoom. And so we spend most of our morning, sometimes the glitches of computers get in the way, so we're not nearly as efficient as we'd like to be. But I come in every day. I love coming in every day. I think it's important that we are here every day, and not necessarily physically, but that we're here showing the public that we are still doing what we've been, appointed to do.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Judge Selwiger, do you have anything to add to that for the average day that you come to work, or you stay at work or home?
Sure. Like Judge Borbonis, I spend most of my morning conducting hearings. That could be evidentiary hearings, or that could be conferences on cases where maybe custody disputes have popped up and the parties need some immediate responses from a judge as to what should happen with that child, or issues related to medical treatment for a child. Anything like that could pop up, and so I'm doing that in the mornings. And then about 10 or 11, I actually start Zoom trials, and I have tried probably 6 or 8 now Zoom trials, full-blown divorce cases or custody cases on Zoom. And like my colleagues mentioned, it's not always perfect, but as a judge, you have to have patience in general, and we have to show that again in this period, and also flexibility for everybody, because there are a fair number of people working from home or different places. And so the rest of my day is spent trying cases or in evidentiary hearings, and just trying to be flexible, but also have cases proceed. That's the most important thing, is cases moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, the next question, switching gears a little bit. What is the most difficult part of your job as a judge? First, we're going to go to Judge Hagee.
Well, I think anybody would agree. I mean, difficult family law cases can be very challenging. Certainly a decision that, you have to make to have somebody incarcerated, whether that's for their own safety or the safety of the community as a whole. These are all, difficult situations for sure. On occasion, all of us, meet with crime victims, and it is heart-wrenching sometimes, the things that you hear and see. Those are the kind of things that keep you up at night on occasion. And I'm glad that, the governor and the voters have asked me to do that job, but that is the hardest part. I mean, dealing with those contentious, issues and the raw emotions of, crime victims and, possible defendants are, is something that you have to certainly acknowledge.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Judge Hardin Tammons, am I reading? Yes.
Same question?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we're still on that question.
The most difficult part, I agree with what Judge Hickey stated, is making decisions, especially in family law. We have to make decisions about custody, about relocation, matters involving medical issues, mental health issues, whether it be with the parents or with the child. So that's a very difficult part of the job. But I am, as Judge Hagee stated, I am very pleased that the governor and the citizens had faith in me to do this job. I will say the other part of that's difficult also is to make those decisions as it relates to incarceration. Sometimes it's very difficult to make that determination, but we have to follow what the law says, and we have to do it in a compassionate way, but sometimes we have to protect folks from themselves or from society. We have to protect society from certain people. So thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Same question, Judge Lay.
I'm going to pivot to the challenges that have arisen during COVID with the order of protection dockets. We have seen an incredible rise in the rate of domestic violence. Lots of folks are out of work. Lots of folks are at home altogether. And I'm very proud of our courts. We have developed a system where folks can apply for orders of protection online without having to come down to the courthouse or go to a local police department. We have also added kiosks downstairs in the front hall so that if there is an access to technology issue, they can come to the courthouse and get on the iPad that is set up on the kiosk, and they are safely distanced from folks around them. So in that way, we've been able to provide access to as many people as we can. We also set up many extra dockets to handle the increased volume. When COVID first hit, instead of one docket, we had to turn that into 5 dockets. So that's been an area of worry for me. I think about the kids that are home and not in school, and there's a real opportunity for violence and danger there.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. Next question. We've talked about what's the most difficult part, challenging part. This question is, what is the most important part of your job? Judge Ott.
Well, I think there's really no question that the most important part of the job is delivering due process of law to everyone that comes in to the courtroom, to making certain that everyone is treated with respect for themselves, respect for the claims that they bring before the court in a civil action, respect for the gravity of the situation in a criminal action, and to make sure that their experience in your courtroom leaves them with a sense of confidence in our judiciary and in our judicial system, that win or lose, they feel that they have been dealt with fairly and appropriately, and that you as the judge have safeguarded their rights under the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and afforded them due process of law.
Thank you. Judge Newsham, same question. You have to turn your microphone on, sir. Thank you.
In line with turning my microphone on, I think to take a little different view of it, I think the important thing for a judge is to listen. I think it's important that each litigant, each person involved in a lawsuit, witnesses, whether they're victims. I do a criminal associate docket, so I do a lot of bond review hearings with victims and witnesses and parents. And I think that even if you rule against a party's position, if they think that you've listened and truly tried to apply the law, that I think that if they had, quote, their day in court, then at least I think that they're satisfied that the system is working.
Good point. Okay, thank you very much. Judge Hearn, Judge Hearn, do you have something to add? Microphone, sir.
There we go. Thank you. I would echo what Judge Ott and Judge Newsham said. It's most important that we follow the law and apply due process. And one aspect I think is a little bit challenging since COVID, since March, is we can't lose sight that we're dealing with people. And when we start to have hearings with, like we all have been, that are held remotely through Zoom and WebEx, sometimes I think we have to stay on top of the point that we're still dealing with people and that they've got these things and we might not be able to be in the room with them, but we can't lose sight of that aspect of it, which I think is one of the challenges, and something I think that this circuit has risen to by creating so much access for all the different litigants and all the various areas of law.
That's good. Okay, thank you, sir. And Judge Baker, same question. What is the most important part of your job? But I need the microphone on.
Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. Well, I think the most important thing just generally is just to be a good listener, and to make sure that we're listening very carefully to everyone who is in front of us. Judge Hearn and I have very similar dockets, and a lot of people that we deal with are pro se litigants. And a lot of times the pro se litigants don't quite understand exactly what's going on. They're summoned to appear, they'll receive a notice, and especially with Zoom, they'll get notice from us that they have to appear on Zoom, further complicating everything. And what we have to do and make sure that we do is make sure that we understand that whatever their case is, it's the most important case at the moment anywhere, and to treat it as such. And that goes for the lawyers as well. But as an associate circuit judge, we're the face of the courthouse because we deal with quite often a lot of people each and every day. It's a wonderful opportunity. And it's also important that when I make a decision, that I explain it well, because we need people, when they win or lose, to understand why I came to the decision that I did, and that it is about the law and how I came to the decision. And it's important that I clarify that for them so that when they leave here, they feel that they're treated fairly.
These are such super answers. I hate to say excited about a forum, but I am, because I think you're really giving the kind of information out to our audience that they have asked us about in questions. They call the office and say, well, how do I know what kind of judge they are? And I say, well, just tune into the forum and just listen. Just listen to these folks, because they're not going to try and pull the wool over your eyes. Next question is much lighter, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And only 2 people have answered this. So Judge Harden-Tammas and Judge, I believe, Ott, you get the bye for just a minute, but I'm coming back to you. And the question is, what made you want to become a judge in the first place? All right. So we're going to start off with Judge Borbonis.
All right.
Microphone.
I think it's all right. Okay, thank you. Well, I practiced for 17 years as a litigator before I took the bench. And, I saw it. My father was career military, and he had always instilled this idea of public service in our family, in both my sister and myself. So for me, it was an opportunity to do public service. Originally out of law school, I was an assistant attorney general, and I got to serve the public in that fashion. So coming back and becoming a judge allowed me to do that. And I, having practiced for 17 years and having been in front of a lot of different judges, I had the ability to see some really good judges and had the ability to sort of figure out what kind of judge I wanted to be. And so when the time came, 17 years in, I thought it was a great opportunity, a great time to do it. I still had youngish kids. So it was an opportunity for me to sort of realize that dream of continuing public service like I had, been taught by my father.
Great answer. Thank you. Judge Kerr.
Very similar to Judge Borbonis. I was a lawyer for, was it 19 years? I had seen all kinds of judges. I worked in the city, worked in the county, worked at the Court of Appeals. My primary practice was I worked in the public defender's office. Judge Baker and I actually worked together for a period of time. Judge Lay and I also worked together for a period of time. So we had, I don't want to speak for them, but I had certainly seen a lot of different judges, had a ton of experience in trial and courtrooms with people all around the state. And I felt like I could really add value, not just in how to do the work in the courtroom, but how to translate it for society, for the people that were in court, how to make the courthouse work as humanely within the structure of law as I possibly could. So that's really why I did it. It's been very satisfying too, very satisfying. I thank the citizens for the opportunity.
Great. Thank you very much. All right, next, Judge Hearn, how about you? Microphone.
Very similar to Judge Borbonis and Judge Kerr. I practiced law for 26 years, and it was all litigation. So it was all in the courtroom type of law. And after doing that for a long time, you sort of see a lot of good judges, but you also see some bad judges. And you see some people out of state and some other places who you say, if I become a judge, I'm not going to treat people the way some of these people are treating them. Fortunately, most of the judges have been good that I've had experience in front of, but there are a few who weren't, and that made a very, very marked impression upon me. And I thought that once I get that opportunity, I knew what kind of judge I wanted to be, and I knew what kind of judge I didn't want to be. And that was, I think, very formative in my decision to go ahead and apply for the position.
Good. Thank you very much. Let's see, Judge Heggie.
Thank you. Well, my dad had been an arbitrator for a number of years, and so I helped him work on his opinions. I had a law partner that became a judge. As a lawyer, I had my 24 years in as a litigator also. I appeared in front of Judge Ott, Judge Borbonis, and Judge Kerr. I really felt that, I could bring something to the St. Louis County bench that I think, in terms of listening and, making clear opinions, which, I'm proud to say my colleagues and I now, I think we do a very good job. The bench has changed a lot since I first started practicing almost 30 years ago now, completely different and for the better. I think we do a much better job with making sure that everybody knows that they can have their day in court and get, some kind of opinion about what's happened and why judges ruled the way they've ruled. So I'm glad to have the opportunity to join them and hope to continue doing this work.
Thank you. Thank you. Judge Zellweger.
Thank you. I think that as a lawyer, I was very happy and fortunate to represent businesses and individuals and serve those clients, but that I really had a calling to do something more, to serve more people. And the way that I saw the best way to do that was to do it as a judge, to be able to serve the people of Missouri, the people of St. Louis County, and be able to give back to my community in that way. And so my interest in becoming a judge really sprang from that desire to serve. And I hadn't really thought much about it, honestly. Like one of the other judges mentioned this. A judge said to me one day in the courtroom that had I ever considered applying to become a judge. And that's when I started thinking about it and realized that I could help more people than just the clients I was serving. I could help the people of Missouri. And I feel very fortunate to be able to do that, especially here in family court, because we are serving people and individuals every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Judge Lay.
I, unlike a lot of my colleagues, do not have lawyers in my family. That is not part of my background. My mom was a high school teacher and my dad is an environmental engineer. And I'm an only child. So they acted as emergency foster parents my whole childhood. And it really made an impression on me because when you're an only child, your parents never hire a babysitter. So you go to court with everybody else. But I was able to see the way that the court system solved problems for litigants that were unable to solve those problems themselves. And I was able to get really a front row seat in the way that the courts could fundamentally change a family's life and figure out what their life was going to look like from that day forward. So that's what inspired me.
Thank you. Judge Stewart, I'm sorry. Judge Stewart, yes.
Yes. Well, similar to, I think what everyone else said was, the feeling that I wanted to give something back. I am born and raised in St. Louis County. My parents were just wonderful, are and were wonderful, working class people that raised me and my 3 older brothers and gave us all sorts of opportunities. I was fortunate enough to, go to college, and they didn't go. I became a lawyer and was, one of the greatest things that could have happened to me. Really happy to do it. I've had a wonderful marriage and 4 wonderful kids. And I felt like I needed to give something back. I've only served in the private sector. I've never held any kind of public service type job. Like some of my colleagues have said, somebody suggested, a judge who's a friend of mine suggested to me that I should apply. And I thought, yeah, I think I would like that. And fortunately, I love it. It is the best job I've ever had. And I'd like to continue doing it because I feel like I have more to give back now because I'm a judge. So
thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, moving on, Judge Ott.
Thank you. Well, I too, having had a lot of litigation experience, I also was able to see judges all across this state who did an excellent job and those who maybe didn't do the job quite in the way that I would hope to do it. But what I really saw in all those years, in my criminal defense work in private practice, I did a lot of juvenile work, delinquency, and abuse and neglect work. And I represented a great many young people who were accused of criminal offenses. And I saw the impact that a judge's decision made on families and individuals. And as many of my colleagues had said, I wanted to participate in that in a very meaningful way, even more than just with my clients, and to give back, to whom much is given, much is required. And I have enjoyed it very much. And I hope that I am making the kind of impact that I saw other judges do in a very positive way.
Thank you. Okay, well, we are drawing to the close. I don't know if you're watching your watches or not, but we're running out of time here, unfortunately. But 3 people haven't talked to us yet on this second question. You know who you are. I know you're counting. So what I would like you 3 to do, and I'll call on you, give you just a second to think about it. What do you think is the most important quality of a courtroom? Okay, and it's not the curtains. Okay. Ready? Judge Hardin Tammons.
Most important quality of a courtroom?
Mm-hmm.
That it is a welcoming place, that the people who enter the courtroom should know that they own this courtroom, that members of the public, they own the courtroom. It's not owned by the judge. The judge is just here as a servant. that everyone who is working in the court system, they're here to serve. And that when people come into the courtroom, they should feel warm, they should feel respected, they should understand that the judge is going to be compassionate and fair and dignified in the decisions that the judge makes. And that each one of the employees that serve in the courtroom should exude that type of atmosphere to members of the public.
Great,
Because
thank you. Thank you. Let's see, I think we still have one answer from Judge Baker.
Yes, well, I totally concur with Judge Harden-Tammons. The cases aren't about us. They're about the litigants and the lawyers who represent the litigants. And I see my job as someone to help them with the process of what they need to do. I mean, if you walk in and you go on this bench and you don't look at it every single time you walk up the steps and sit in the chair, what an honor and a privilege it is, then you should retire and step away. This is a gift that the governor bestowed upon me to allow me the opportunity to serve this community. My courtroom isn't my courtroom, it's Division 35, I'm the judge, but we're a team. Donnell Morris is my bailiff, Tony Foster is my clerk. Tony came with me from the Division of Workers' Compensation. We're a team, and the reason that I wanted Donnell and Tony to work with me is because they view this job the same way. That everybody who walks in here has something that's important to them, and it's up to us to make sure that they have, so to speak, their day in court. It's
Great.
just a blessing.
Thank you very much. And excuse me, Judge Newsham, you get the last word here. You get to turn your microphone on though first. There you
It's
go.
amazing how many times I forget to do that. I think, as the last two judges have said, I think the most important quality, at least in my courtroom, I think each of the courtroom, is that everyone who comes in has an equal voice. And I think it's so important that, and now I do an associate docket, so I have more folks who do not have attorneys at times represent them than some of the circuit judges, just because of the nature of the dockets. I think it's important to have an atmosphere in that courtroom that each person comes in that courtroom, whether they have a lawyer or not, whether they know the judge or not, if they've been there before or not, has an equal voice, and that voice will be respected and listened to, regardless of what the decision is. So I think any atmosphere you can set up to make sure that happens, as far as your clerk and bailiff are concerned, as well as yourself, to give people the confidence that they don't have to be nervous, that their voice, that they will be heard in the court, I think is important.
Good answer. Folks, I just can't tell you what a super job you've done today. I've worked with so many groups of individuals who want to serve the public in different offices, and they try to present themselves, and thank you very much for sharing yourselves with us tonight. Makes me very proud to be a county resident and have you as my judges. With that, I will say thank you all for participating. Thank you, Christine, for getting this to happen, getting everybody here. Folks out there, remember that you have your most important duty coming up. Be sure and vote. And when you vote, do it as an educated voter. Think about it. Look at the information. If you don't know the answer, talk to somebody. But this is a really, really important time. We appreciate you being here tonight with us, the League of Women Voters. With that, I'll say good night. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Good night.